Hey, what's up? This is George Shamon from obviously my channel, Web Page Coder. Um, I'm coming to you live from the US state of South Dakota in the Midwest. I hope you're doing okay this noon time. Obviously, my time, Central Standard Time. Uh, in this video, I'm going to be talking about and obviously answering some questions if you're on a live stream now about learning HTML5, CSS3, and how to get started with those two not programming languages, markup language. The HTML is a markup language, and 5 is the latest version. And then CSS3 is a styling language that styles the HTML elements on a web page. And we need to know that every website, every web page has to start with HTML, CSS. That's the basic concept. So a web page is built by adding HTML elements, and then the CSS will give it a style, the shape, the color, the background, etc. And these can be simple ones, and they can get complicated. If you're joining on this live stream, I want to thank you so much, and drop a comment in the comment box and let me know where you're tuning in from. Say hi, and let me know if you have any question or any topics you want to discuss related to HTML, CSS, and how to learn them. And then I'll be talking about Visual Studio Code. It's the software for code editing, making codes. So submit your questions if you're on this live stream, and if you're not, you're gonna be on a future replay. I want to thank you so much too for tuning in. Drop your comments in a box, questions, criticism, hopefully constructive, and let me know if you have any specific topic you want to talk about making a web page, using codes, building a website. I'm not very advanced, but I've been doing this for 2 years. I learned HTML, CSS, so I feel comfortable with them now. And soon I'll be starting with JavaScript. So if you're here, let me know, and say hi, and let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm very interested to know where I'm reaching. Are you in the US? If so, what state are you tuning in from? If you're overseas, what country are you tuning in from? I want to thank you so much for your time and attention. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment box. And to learn HTML, CSS, you have to start, you need a code editor. And a code editor, one of the best ones that a lot of people recommend and myself have been using for the last couple of years, is Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is a code editor that you can use to build, because if you want to code, you need a code editor. You need some kind of software or tools. And Visual Studio Code is one of the best editors. It's got a lot of options, and it's got a lot of extension that will help you code, make codes, edit codes, yeah, Visual Studio Code. And it's got so many options, but you don't need to learn everything about it. You just need to learn how to start, make a file, make a folder. And some extensions in Visual Studio Code, you need them, like the live server. You have to have live server, because the live server will show you how your code will look like on a web page, basically without having a web hosting or a website. You can do it on your own computer, and it's a local server, and it's live. Every time you change the code, it's going to show you how it looks like. It's called live server. So you want to make sure live server is installed as an extension in Visual Studio Code. And you have to have Emmet installed. Emmet will help you in auto-completing your code. Let's say you're trying to code it start giving you options what you want to use, because nobody can remember codes. I want to urge this. You cannot remember every code. You have to know how to find it and where to find resources. And Visual Studio Code will give you that capability. It gives you auto completion. Let's say you want to use background color. When you add a colon, it's going to give you a list of options like red, the blue, the colors you can use. So, and also, you have to use the autosave. The autosave is not an extension. It's a check. If you go to the file menu, there's a place where it says one of the options is autocode. You just check it, and every time you change the code, the system will autosave, and that will save you from going to the file and save as your code every time. So once you change it, the system will autosave it. And since you have live server, you can look at live server and you can see your web page, how it's changing and how the code is rendering on a web page without even having a website. So, and also Visual Studio Code, you can use it for HTML, CSS, you can use it for JavaScript too. For JavaScript, I think you have to have Node.js installed. I'm not sure about this. I forgot how to, but I started recently learning JavaScript. So, guys, let me know if you have any questions. Submit your question in a comment box if you have any question about learning how to code HTML, CSS, how to get started with building a web page or a website, and what you need. If you're new or you already started, I can help you with some basic questions. So, yeah. So if you want to make a web page, build a website on your own, you can save a lot of money, but you have to learn, you have to have some skills. And one of the skills, it's HTML, CSS. That's how you start. But it's a great skills to learn, but you don't have to build a web page from scratch using HTML, CSS. What I use it is to make changes to elements on a web page. Like, let's say if I want to change the colors, the shape of an element, I can use HTML, CSS. This is where it comes into play. But to start from scratch, building a website, starting with a web page, website, it's going to take forever, and unless you are a web designer and web developer, because there's a difference between a web designer and web developer. The web developer knows the code, the back end, the front end, if they're full stack. But the web designer will know how to design the web page, how to put the element, on a web page, and they know HTML, CSS. So this is a web designer. So if you know both, if you are a web designer and a web developer, and you want to do something from scratch, you can do that too. But myself, I'm not good when it comes to design, so I'm focusing on the code and the web development. So and what I can do, if you can use somebody else's design. Let's say you can buy a template, a design, and then you can convert it to HTML, CSS. So this is one of the skills that you can use. So guys, if you're on this live stream, make sure you submit your comments or questions so I know that I'm not talking to myself. This is a two-way conversation. Let me know. And I do appreciate your attention and your tuning in. And I'm very interested to know if you're tuning in from the US or from overseas. If you're here, what state are you tuning in from? If you're overseas, let me know. What country are you tuning on? And say hi in a comment box and let me know so you'll get a shout out. Let's say your name is ABC. Say, I am ABC from India. I am such and such from Denmark, from France, from Tokyo, from China, from the US. Let me know. So, yeah. Again, we're talking about learning HTML5, CSS3. If you have any questions, submit them in a comment and let me know. And also how to use them. You need to use Visual Studio Code. This is one of the best editors, code editors, and It's a free. You can use it for if whether you have a Mac machine, Windows, or Linux. You can use it for free. You can download it. So it's a Microsoft product, but it's for free. So who else? Any questions, comments? Anybody interested to learn about coding HTML, CSS, and what code editor to use? This is the video now. You can submit your questions, and I can answer you right now on this live stream. So all right, I guess there is no questions coming in, and I'll wait for a couple minutes in case somebody shows up and they have any questions, so I can answer it. Otherwise, I will wrap up the session in a couple minutes, and maybe we'll do another one later on today. All right, if you're on a future replay, also you can submit your questions and comments about the coding and learning how to code HTML, CSS, and what the code editor to use. My favorite one is Visual Studio Code, and let me know if you have any question about it.